Welcome to this training session. We're going to go over regionals basics and go on a bit about what regional directors need to do. First off, though, I'm going to go over a little bit about Hult Prize. So, Hult Prize is the world's largest student competition, and what we do is we have the case challenge each year. So, we're focusing on one social issue, and then we're asking students from around the world, can you solve this issue through the use of enterprise? So, can you build a startup and solve the challenge? And if you can, then we're going to award you with $1 million. Now, the teams, they start at their universities. This year we had over 600 universities have an on-campus program. And what that entails is a series of workshops and sessions, and then ultimately a mini regionals at the campus where one winning team, they all pitch and they win the right to come to regionals. Now, I say mini, but sometimes you have hundreds, even up to 200 teams competing on a single campus. So sometimes they can be pretty big too. And so at regionals, we're going to get the best of the teams that come from on campus. And then we also get a few online applications that we then directly accept to regionals, but the vast majority are teams that won on their own campus. And this is where the 100,000 students are coming from. Now, after they all arrive here at regionals, either on the 9th or the 10th, the 9th, 10th weekend, or on the 16th, 17th weekend, they're all trying to compete to get to the accelerator. And so here is the accelerator. This is the Hult Prize Castle. It's based in the UK, not too far away from my home actually. And the exciting thing is all 15 of us regional directors are going to be here at least part of the summer helping the teams through the accelerator program. And I hope that gets everybody really excited. The only thing to note is flights are not covered, so you do need to kind of make your own way there, but I'm sure it's going to be worth it. Then teams here, they're going to build their startup for 7 weeks or so, and then the very best of them are going to end up here at the United Nations, and this is where we have our grand finals, and teams are pitching for the $1 million. Again, you will also be invited to the United Nations, so really excited that we're going to be able to go through this journey together this year. Now, the case challenge this year is about energy. I strongly advise everybody to read it so you can get a better understanding of what it is we're asking teams to do this year, so you can feel a bit more prepared and aware when seeing the presentations at regionals. And one point to highlight is that we are looking at how can you harness energy to transform lives. So how could you harness energy to impact healthcare or bring more access to education, perhaps using technology or using solar, for example. So hopefully during regionals you will see a nice variety of different presentations and startups and ideas. At regionals, you're going to have a variety of stakeholders. The three key core ones are the teams that are presenting, the judges, and then your volunteers, your staff. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about schedules, activities, that each stakeholder has their own user experience during regionals. Now, I'm going to go through this very quickly because we're going to go into more depth later, but it's a 2-day event. Day 1, Friday, is all about inspiring the teams, training them, and then completing some paperwork, and then helping them to network, and get to know each other. So that should be your goal on Friday, is to make it a fun, inspirational event, and make sure we get some basic logistics done. Saturday is all about competition. Now we start early, 8 a.m. And we're going to have a breakfast from 8 till 9, but you're going to have to be there a little bit earlier because we actually have a deadline for collecting all presentations at 8 a.m. sharp. And then what we do is we start pitches at 9. Each team, they're going to pitch for 6 minutes. Sorry, there's a typo here. And then they're going to have 4 minutes for their Q&A. And then we do a feedback session that I'll go into more depth later. We repeat this again. So you have a morning session of pitching, an afternoon session of pitching. Then we move to a new location, the finals, which would be more of a grander venue or building within the same venue. Teams again pitch. This would be the best 6 teams of the whole regional. We then select the winner and have a nice dinner, reception, celebrations, and then we move to the famous Holt Prize after party where the students and sometimes the judges and all the guests and especially the staff get to finally relax and enjoy the rest of the evening. Now, this is a bit more of a breakdown for the judges and the students. So we talked about preliminary rounds. We're going to have a morning pitch session and an afternoon session. We break everybody off into 3 different rooms, okay? And judges, they will stay in the same room all day, okay? But competitors, they will move to different rooms. So if you present in room 1 in the morning, then you might be in room 2 or room 3 in the afternoon. And you see here we have some heads. These are the student panel. And the student panel is actually other competitors watching this team present. So you do have students in the room watching other teams present. And, you know, that's just one of the ways we do it. And then what happens is we have room 1 here. Now 2 teams from room 1, whether 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, or 2 in the morning or 2 in the afternoon, will move forward to the finals. So we'll get 2 teams from room 1, 2 from room 2, and 2 from room 3, making us have a total of 6 teams get to present in the finals. Now we're going to break that down a little bit more. So what is one of these morning or afternoon pitching sessions really like for everybody? Now teams that are going to pitch during that session, they have 6 minutes to present, and if they're not presenting, they'll be waiting outside in their own breakout room or common area, you know, just practicing, rehearsing, getting ready to come and pitch. Now you will need a couple of volunteers to be on standby to go find these teams and make sure that they're ready to present on time. The judges, well, they're sat down, with pen, paper, scorecards, etc., and they're going to have, listen to a series of presentations and then have 4 minutes to ask some questions. Now the other students that are in the room, they are going to be taking notes. Also, they will have a scorecard, and they will actually rank the teams to which ones they find are their favorites, etc. Now, after all the teams have gone through their pitching process here, so we've got all 7 or 8 or 9, 10 teams presented, we get to the feedback session. Now, the feedback session is where these students that have been sitting there quietly, reviewing all of the presentations, will actually tell the judges what they think about each team. And so here you need to make sure that you're ready to help the judges to gather that feedback. And we will also have them vote for who was their favourite team at the regional, which is actually going to play into the decision on who moves forward to the finals. Now, after we've had the feedback session with the student panel, the judges actually get their own sort of feedback, or we call it a callback session with the competing teams. So all the competing teams need to be ready at this time to come back and meet the judges for further questions. The judges are going to probably ask about 3 teams to come back and maybe spend 10 minutes with each team. And they use this time to really get to know those teams that they have more questions about better, to kind of really work out who they want to move forward. Now, of course, we always say that if you're called back or not, it makes no difference. So please maintain that as a general principle for all the teams involved. Then the judges will have to make the final decision. Now, they will review the teams that they called back from the morning and the afternoon, and essentially select what was their very, very favorite team, and they will move 1 team forward. So that's like room 1 gets to move 1 team from room 1 forward. Sorry about that. Then we have the popular vote. So here we have a morning session, these students voted and they would have picked who was their favorite. Again, different set of students would have picked who was their favorite here. And so the judges will have to decide between the room 1 morning favorite and the room 1 afternoon favorite to see who is the second team that moves forward. And so, as you can see here, they select one of the 2 most popular student panel votes, and therefore we get 2 teams move forward. So this is the preliminary rounds. That's exactly the same for morning and afternoon, only the fact that the deliberation comes towards the end of the afternoon session. However, during lunch, judges are expected to take some time to deliberate over who was the best in the morning, so that they can keep that in mind and keep it fresh for when they make the final decision. Now, into the finals. So, during the finals, all the teams will be sat down in the audience watching. You'll have the judges set up at the front, and then, again, the student panel is just all the audience. What will happen is, during the finals, you will open as the regional director and thank everybody. Maybe you have a few guest speakers, and then you will invite one of your judges from, say, room 1 to come up and announce which team from room 1 is going to be the first team to present that night. It's only at that moment that the competing team knows that they are about to pitch. So it is quite exciting, and it's one of my favorite parts of regionals, is that moment when teams realize that they actually need to get up in front of 200 people and present again, and that they've got to the final round, so to speak. Same structure, they got 6 minutes to pitch, 4 minutes for Q&A, and students are just, everyone else is in the audience. Now, we'll run through this process 6 times. So 6 different judges come up and announce their teams, 6 pitches, and then we ask all the judges to go backstage, and that when they go backstage, they will actually discuss and they'll go through a process that we will provide to them on how to pick the best team. Now, bear in mind, each regional, you have a regional director, and you're in charge of all the operations, and you have a judge facilitator. The judge facilitator is in charge of taking care of judges and helping them through this process. And then, decision has been made, the judges come back out, they all get on stage, and what we do in Shanghai, at least last year, was we got all the 6 final teams also on stage, and then we announced the winner. Now, this was a really magical moment for us in Shanghai, but we did have a very big stage, and the person announcing was quite charismatic in the way that she announced the winner. So you could try to recreate this, or you can just have the judges on the stage and then all the students sat down in the audience and then announce, and then all of a sudden you'll find someone in the room start screaming and celebrating as they run to the front. Now, this is just some notes so you can think about for the competitors. Essentially what happens in the morning and afternoon sessions, they've got 10 minutes, 6 minutes for pitch, 4 minutes for Q&A, and there's only ever going to be one pitching team in the room at a time. The team that's going to pitch next must be waiting outside. They can't come in and see the end of the other team's pitch or anything like that. Then after presenting, they will go back to the waiting room, whether they've got their own room or not, depending on your space, and they'll be there waiting for the callback session to start after the student panel has given their feedback. Then during the callback, as I mentioned earlier, 2 or 3 teams may be called back, and then they've got to just answer the questions that the judges ask. Now, the second chance that they get to present is if they get to present in the finals, if they were the winning team or one of the 2 winning teams from that room. So that there's a little bit more added value on what it's like to be a competitor. So let's have a look who we've got here. So as you can see, we've got lots of beautiful people in Holt Price, spread out all across the world. So it's just mainly this is the first week regional directors. So hopefully I use a nice picture of you if you're pictured here. And then here's the second week. Just feel free to reach out to other regional directors. quite a few of you are going to more than one regional, so take that opportunity to get to know your fellow regional directors and their teams. And then I just wanted to let you know, obviously, that we have a central support team for all the regional directors. If you need anything in relation to logistics, timelines, how to build your team, etc. like that, I'm your number one point of contact. Also, Nelly is helping out with that as well as an experienced regional director. James, he's doing all the finance and contracting, so you really need to keep your budgets and your finances up to date to make sure that we have a lot of regionals going on, so it really helps us if we keep that part of the regionals tight. Then judges, we have over like 300 judges this year, and so Kareem's leading this. So if you have questions about the case challenge or judges, feel free to reach out to Kareem, and also reach out to me at the same time. Then we have Hilda. Hilda's been running social media for Holt Prize for quite some time now, so she's really experienced. She is actually will be on a call with all of you, and she'll also be helping to train your social media volunteers. Then we have Nelly. Nelly runs the on-campus program amongst many other things, and she's also been working with her team of analysts to confirm all the teams coming to your regional. So she's quite aware of all the different team situations, whether they have maybe a visa problem or financing problem, or if they have no problems at all. So she can help you if you have questions in that area. Then we have the marketing. These two lovely people, Ricardo and Carla, they work side by side in the Mexico office. Ricardo, he's got us covered for anything print or any graphics, so you will need to print some things locally at the regional, so he's the best guy to go to for that. And then Carla has been putting together a number of really cool animated videos so that you will be able to do a really nice production finals at your regional and have really good content, as well as like helping to train and make you aware of what photos to take and what videos to make, which is really important because after we've completed the 15 regionals, we want to put together some really cool summary videos. So maybe do a summary of, say, the KL regional or the Boston regional, depending on what content we manage to get. And then also we want to create a little video for all the winners. So if you're a regional champion, we want a little video for you for when you come to the castle that you'll be able to play. So it's really key that we actually get this content. Okay, so what are your main roles? Now there's 6 categories. We're going to go into them in a little bit more depth as we go. High level, I suggest you read through this, but high level, the event logistics is really important. Like you need run of shows to know what's happening at what time, with what stakeholder, what needs to be done. And then also you need to be really in touch with all your vendors who are providing your food or the space, or whoever's doing the production with the audio visual. You need to know them. Now, me and James set a lot of those relationships up, but it's your job now to take over them and to get them across the finish line and be very well aligned with them, because if you're well aligned, then on the day things will go very smoothly. But if you have a bit of a miscommunication, it can be quite a challenge. And you will need to print a few things out. Sorry, not name tags. We will be shipping that globally to you, but you may need to print out certificates, for example. Now, your team is really everything, so volunteer management is really important. Now, you need to take some time to understand who you actually need in your team, what type of volunteers. Then you need to actually recruit and train them, and then, to train them, you want to do a couple of different sessions that we'll go into and I share more depth on. Partnering, guest liaison, you have a lot of people coming to regionals, so you need to be on top of who's coming. You need to be working out who's talking to judges and taking care of them for their logistics, what other VIPs or guests may be attending, and then also making sure that you've met the guys, again, as I mentioned, execute with vendors, but you've met the guys and girls that are essentially running the your venues, like the office manager, for example, if it's a university, to make sure you're really aligned, that you have the resources you need. Next section, competitor management. Now you've got a lot of teams coming, so you want to get to know them a bit. I think that's one of the best things about being a regional director. You're going to have to keep them updated if there's any changes to schedules or logistics. And then also, you want to get some volunteers assigned to each different team to sort of take care of them and make sure everything's going well. So this is another area of work to be done. Then budget management. I want you to really understand how much you have to spend total and how that's being broken down and how things are being paid for. If you're clear on that, then you're going to be able to have better relationships with the vendors, for example. And we are also going to be clearer on how much we're spending and what key deadlines we have and what needs to be prioritized at any moment. Now, all of that information from all 5 of these can be found in sort of template form in your dashboard. This is your core one sort of document that you need, that you're going to have all your schedules in, your budget in, and all of the information that you really need should be kept there. So please keep this up to date and work with me and James to make sure that you understand how to do that. Okay, so jumping into the schedules, you're going to have a variety of different schedules. Here you can see a rough template for a judge's schedule, but you're going to need one for all your different stakeholders, so your competitors, your judges, your volunteers, and then you're going to need it for the different parts. So you want one for the Friday evening, one for Saturday daytime, and one for Saturday evening finals. And a run of show really breaks down minute by minute what is happening, who is doing what, and they're what you as a regional director would have in front of you at any given event. And you'd be like, so you can check if you're on time, and you can check what's coming next and make sure that you're aligning everybody as the day goes. These are really important documents, and they do take a bit of time to make sure you get correct and really think through all the details. The other set of documents are more like supporting documents, maybe task lists. So you might have, really it's kind of like a run of show, but maybe a list of tasks that the registration team needs to do. Here you can see the pitch. It's like the pitch schedule. So this is, again, it's not really a task list, but it's a supporting document where you can see which team is pitching which room at what time. And again, you can find this on your dashboard. Then you're going to need one maybe for the photography people, one for the people looking after the teams, that's this, and then the production team. So you've got to think about who are your different stakeholders. So each stakeholder needs their own sort of run of show list, task items, and make sure that you're covering everybody. Now, just a little bit more on logistics, very high level. Logistics covers the space and vendors. Now, those relationships have all been set up now, but just make sure that you're actually visiting the spaces and you're checking that you have the right space for pitches, for the open, like if you have meals that are happening, and that you're really aligned with the layout so you're ready when the event actually happens. It's also really advised to take a number of your volunteers, if not all of them, and do like a mock run, like a demo run, like pretend that the regionals is actually happening and be like, okay, if you're in charge of the pitch room, where are you? If you're doing registration, where are you? And actually practice that as an exercise. Now the next thing is on the food and drink. You need to really be on top of your F&B vendors. You need to make sure that they're delivering food on time and that it's good quality and that there's enough. And enough is quite a tricky challenge. You do, to know that, you really need to get good at your head count, estimating how many people are actually coming. Now, people coming, you can see how many judges are coming. Then you need to kind of look, okay, how many competitors are coming, and so on, so you can get the total head count. We'll go into a bit more detail later, but just make sure you've got that relation set up, you know what the menu is for each meal, and that you're aware if any of your guests actually have any strict dietary requirements or allergies. Uh, then for supplies, so on Friday, everybody gets a welcome pack. Inside the welcome pack is a name tag and their lanyards. Also, they'll get a copy of the scorecard, and then they may get some other details to help them through the weekend. So you got to make sure you get that set up on Friday, or even you set that up on Thursday, so then on Friday it's easy just handing them out. And you also got to make sure you've got all your clickers. This is very important. A lot of USBs available, and your microphones, so that during your Saturday pitching sessions, those USBs become very important, because that's where you have all the pitch decks stored on. We'll help you with how to store that, for example, and how to collect efficiently, but just make sure you've got USBs available. And then make sure your marketing materials have arrived, like your backdrops, or your logo walls, banners, etc. Then, schedule. So we talked quite a lot already about the schedule. So just making sure that you've got different schedules set up and that everyone is aligned on how their day looks. Now, this is a picture of our team at the United Nations, and the United Nations for us was a great success. And I'm really hoping that every 15 regional is also a great success. And it is really true that the team that you put together will determine the fate of your regionals. So that is why building your team is probably your number one priority and goal right now. Now, on the dashboard again, you have essentially a team roster of what I compose of different teams that I find very useful to break down into different segments. Other regional directors have had different structures, so please feel free to tailor as how you see what makes most logical sense. This is just my advice. The first set is team ambassadors. So this is a group of people that are connected with the competitors as a stakeholder, and they look after them as a stakeholder. They make sure that they're ready to pitch when they need to pitch. They make sure that they have no problems, that they've arrived to the city okay, and genuine support for the teams as we move through the days. Now, your operations and your logistics team is a real key team. Is doing all the registrations, running the pitch rooms, running the Friday, running Saturday events, coordinating with F&B. Here is where you need some real great generalists, people that just like to do and get stuff done, because it can be boring at times because it's repetitive. So you've got to get people that have high attention to detail and are very passionate. Then production, technical, and marketing. So this is when you're at the finals, you're going to have some big screens up. You're going to have to make sure you've got technical people there, some IT support, so that if anything starts to go wrong, you have the right people there to fix it, and also to make sure what's on the screen is correct during the day and during the finals. And you'll also have your photographers, videographers in this pool. This is generally the hardest people to recruit, so just make sure you're starting early on this to get some people with real IT skills. And then your judges and VIPs. So every regional has a judge facilitator. They're really leading on the judges. So just remember, these are another stakeholder, like the teams are a stakeholder. And we like to provide each room of judges with one volunteer to look after them, make sure they have coffee, water, scorecards, and that everything's just set up for the judges, and help the judges move throughout the day. Now, I said we'll go into more detail. Guest list is really key to know who's coming, and try to know as early as possible, so you can double check name tags and also have a clear idea on what's your head count. So you need to know what competitors are coming, you need to know what judges are coming, what campus directors are coming, and then whatever VIPs and guests may be also joining. Now, there's different guest lists everywhere, which is a little bit unfortunate, to be honest, but this is the situation we're in, so we have to solve it. The first is you have your competitor dashboards. This is where you can see if teams have confirmed their attendance or if they have not, if they're yet to confirm. So you can kind of start to see here who's coming and who's not. Judges control panel. Again, you can see who's confirmed as a judge. get to know which judges are coming. Check out LinkedIn. There's LinkedIn links there, so you know who you're going to be taking care of on that day. Then campus directors. This can be found again in the competitor dashboard. So each regional has its own competitor dashboard. There's a guest list tab. Check it out. If it's green, it means that we've actually confirmed that they're coming with their flights, so you can be sure that they're going to turn up. And a number of these campus directors are also interested in being your volunteer. This is your decision if you want to bring them into the team or if you just would like to have them as a guest for the day. But do bear in mind that they have run their own event, and some of them are going to be very good team members. And then also know which VIPs and guests are joining, which we have a separate list for that, which I will be sharing once invites start to go out. Then, with all of this data, with all of these different lists, which can be quite a challenge, but try to get on top of it, is you need to start giving accurate headcount estimates to your F&B vendors, and making sure that your finals venue, for example, has enough space and that you're laid out correctly, and that you have a backup plan in case you need more food, or making sure that you're not spending too much money on wasted food. Then you're going to have to get everyone set up for registration, so you're going to want a printed name list, and then you're also going to need to keep this final version of the guest list into your dashboard. That's where you're going to merge all of this information together. So a little bit on teams. It's really important to try and build a community. Now, our goal really is to inspire these students to pursue a career of social entrepreneurship, and only one team is going to win, which means, unfortunately, the vast majority will not. So it's key that those that do not win also take a lot away from regionals, and that will be the community that's built around this year's case challenge and the journey, the common journey that everybody shares. So start to build some excitement in Facebook, post some posts about social entrepreneurship and Holt Prize that inspire and excite you to be involved. Share some of your own personal experiences and journey so that teams can get to know you a bit better and be excited about meeting you. And then also make sure that you're sharing with the teams any updated schedules, or say if there was a venue change last minute, that they're aware and very clear and up to date. It's really your job to make sure that teams are well prepared as they arrive. And then also we will provide you with a PPT that you'll go through on the Friday to let the teams know exactly how the weekend's going to go and get them, excited and also ready. Okay, so that was a lot of information. The good thing about it being a recording is you could pause and make notes and go back as needed. We're just going to finish off now with a run of show. Now this is the high-level general run of show, and it's not tailored to any specific stakeholder, but this is your starting point when working out your schedules. So, starting on Friday, we start off, in Shanghai we started at 3:30 last year, we ran to 5. This was the welcome orientation and registration. Teams would come in to a set-up room where they would register. They would be greeted and, welcome to Holt Prize, really excited to have you here. We provide them with some terms and conditions, just some basic documents that they need to sign so we can use the photos that we take, and also that they've agreed to the rules of the Holt Prize competition. That's the first key step that needs to be done. We're going to then hand over a welcome package, which is including their name tags. Most teams, this is something that they would take home and put on their wall, so it's really cool to have there's such nice name tags for everybody. And then they also get a folder, like a Holt Prize folder, and we have a new design this year. And inside there, they've got some key information about which room they're going to be pitching and what time. And then also they get this name tag that you can see here. And we ask them, once they've got their folder and their details, is please go take a photo in front of our logo wall. First, you take one with the team card, so we actually know who they are. And then you take one without. And then you can do all sorts of different photos in front of the logo wall. And there you go, you've already got a photo of every team competing, happy, excited, which is going to be very useful for social media and other marketing materials as we tag all the different teams competing around the world. Following that, we have a training session. Now, the goal of this training session is to get everyone ready for tomorrow and to inspire them. So you as the regional director, and here's me in Shanghai last year, you have to open up, and that's not always the easiest job, but you open up with high energy and get everyone ready and excited for the weekend, welcome them, and go through the basic training deck. The basic training deck is really important because we don't want teams to be worrying about, oh, do I pitch in the morning or the afternoon, or how does this work, or when is lunch? Because we need them to focus on their businesses and their startups this weekend. Following you, as you open, please welcome any VIPs or hosts. So here you can see pictured Yan. Yan is the dean of the Shanghai Hall campus. So he then came on for a couple of minutes quickly just to welcome everyone to the school. Then afterwards, here's Marty. Marty was the judge facilitator. So as the judge facilitator, he shares with all the teams some information about this year's case challenge, and also how have we prepared the judges and what's the scorecard, and essentially some insights on how to do well. Following some training from the judge facilitator, we would also then invite a topic expert. So last year was refugees, and here's Francis, who works for the UNHCR, and has been working helping refugees for essentially 30 to 40 years all across the world. So you want to look for someone with nice depth and credibility within the field. This year, energy, particularly if you can get somebody that's using energy for good to come in and share their leading insights and trends and where the biggest problems are, to be honest. So this is a real training session for teams. Then following this, you see Juan Diego, who's a winner in 2015 with the Team Impact, sharing his journey and story as he launched Impact, won the whole prize, and the journey that they went on to even win the whole prize. The main goal of this is to then inspire everybody to be like, I want to be like Juan Diego, I want to really launch my own company, whether I win whole prize or not, it doesn't matter, there's many opportunities. So that's essentially the run of show for Friday's training session. Following the training session, we have networking reception, so you have some food, perhaps even some drinks available for all the teams as they get to start to know each other. It's really key here. You get the speakers, to interact with the different teams, hang around and get to know what they're working on and share some advice and inspiration as the Friday goes. And this is really a nice time because everyone's still a little bit relaxed. Some teams will leave early, which is fine. This time is optional. No one's forced to stay because some teams need to get back and work on their deck, for example. But otherwise, just try to enjoy the evening and then make sure you head home and get some good rest. So then the long day starts, Saturday. You're going to be there perhaps as early as 7 a.m. or even 6:30 a.m. You're going to want to be collecting teams' USBs, have a set area, get a couple of computers set up, all the way from 7 to 8. You're going to need to sort this like from room 1, room 2, room 3, and then morning and afternoon. So once you've collected that, make sure that there's plenty of coffee for all the teams and the judges, and there's plenty of breakfast food available. You also would want to separate some food specifically for the judges in the judges' room. There's a small but very key point is that the judges have their own area for food and coffee, because that's the area where they're going to be making decisions and deliberating in during the day. Now, after everyone's submitted their PPTs, or a little bit like during that time, is you're going to have to be getting your room set up. Here's Jury in Shanghai, who was running one of our rooms last year. So this is where she's going to be putting the PPTs onto the computer, checking the audio, checking the visual, making sure everything's ready, make sure the room's clean, set up, ready. for pitches to start. Then you're going to start welcoming in the student teams that would be the panel, like watching the pitches, and then also the judges. You're going to then have your pitching schedule. So you're going to know which team is pitching when, in which room. And you're going to have someone like Ben, for example, who's going to run off, find the teams. The teams may be based in their own breakout room. This is a team here, like they were probably practicing just before they went and pitched, getting ready, and then pitch time. They'll come into the room. They'll have 10 quick minutes to try and convince the judges that they are the best team and that they can change the world. And then after that, they're going to leave. And you will go through the schedule. We already talked about that a bit. Here's just a photo of someone falling asleep. So just a friendly reminder, it's a pretty long day. So make sure that your volunteers are not on duty all the time and that they can get some rest so they can survive till the after party. Now, after the morning session, we're going to have lunch. This is a great time to get some social media going, get a feel about how everyone's doing, maybe take some interviews, for example, just to keep sharing the story and the excitement as the day goes through. Now, for the judges, this will be you can see how this schedule is generic, but if it was tailored for the judges, during this time they will be having lunch, but they will also having to be deliberating who was the best team in the morning. So bear that in mind. Think in the stakeholders' shoes, for example, the judges' shoes, on what they would be needing to do through lunch, and then create a schedule for them specifically. Following lunch, it's exactly the same. You check that the computer's room's set up, you run through the order, you find teams, they're in their rooms, they pitch, and then they're done. You go through the session again. Then you're going to transfer to the finals venue, and here we have a nice pink bus. So any bonus points for anybody that can organise a pink bus as their mode of transportation. That's a Regional Directors Challenge for 2018. And there will be a special prize from me personally if anyone achieves this. Now, jokes aside, we get to the finals. Here, this is, you're going to have a lot of people coming, so make sure you have a big area for registration. You're going to need to check teams off. You don't need to check individual names, but just check teams. Make sure every team has arrived and that you're not missing any. If you do have any missing, connect with the team coordinator or the team mentor, whoever's looking after that team, to try and contact them on WhatsApp, email, however, and find out where the hell they are, because they may be the team that's going to win, and you've got to make sure that they're there. Also, you're going to want to have a cloakroom set up so people can put their bags down or store in an efficient way. With 200 plus people, you do want to have a good system there. Make sure you've got a couple of volunteers covering that. Otherwise, it might cause you problems as you try to keep on schedule. Now here, this is actually the Shanghai Finals venue. Last year, you can see the way the room's set out is you have all the judges at the front, and normally the 2 rows behind perhaps would be for VIPs or guests, depending on your capacity, and then behind there is all the competitors, potential campus directors and other guests, and then volunteers will be at the very back. If there is no seats remaining, then please have your volunteers and your staff sort of standing around. A number of them will be having jobs, so that's okay. And then right in the middle, this is where you have your timekeeper, so make sure that they're clearly visible to anybody that's on stage, and you can actually see the timekeeper here, because the teams are going to have to keep an eye on the time and be clear. Now, once everybody's sat down, you will, as the regional director, open up the evening. You'll have your podium with your logo wall. We've sent quite a few emails about this. Please get on that. That is actually a priority task. We have had some calamities in the past, so we really don't want that to happen again this year. Again, you're going to inspire, thank everybody. We're going to help draft the speech for you, but you can obviously tailor that, add your own personality, and set the tone for the evening. Now, after you have opened the evening, you may have some speakers that you would want to welcome on stage, or maybe you just want to jump straight into the pitches. Now, the way the pitches work is you have the judge, This is Hugh. He comes up and he describes the team that's about to present. He describes what inspired him, what made him think that they were a great team, and maybe some personal details, and then announces who the winning team was. So you can imagine, as a competitor in the audience, you're like, oh, is that me? Is that not? Is that me? And it gets the excitement going. Teams will then all of a sudden realize that they need to pitch. They will come up to the front, and here you can see a team. They were from Beijing, actually, Peking University, presenting their idea, which was an idea about helping migrant workers in Hong Kong through a job platform on their phone. So it's quite a cool idea, and you'll hopefully get some good ideas at your regionals. Then after that, judges will have their 4 minutes Q&A. Make sure you got your microphones ready. This is really key. Time is of the essence. You can see that we had some water ready for them. They've got the name tags, they've got the lanyards, a pen, and they should have scorecards as well, ready to take notes throughout the day, throughout the final. Following this, so after all 6 teams have presented, the judges are going to go backstage. Make sure you've got another room for the judges and that it's set up nicely for where they're going to actually decide who goes to the accelerator. Now, you will also potentially have a keynote speaker. Again, it's not mandatory. It's quite okay not to have a keynote speaker. During that time, essentially, competitors can discuss on who they think should be the winner team, which can lead to quite a lot of interesting conversations as itself. However, if you do have a very inspirational speaker, then you can allow the keynote. Now, as I mentioned, what we did in Shanghai last year was quite different. We had all the judges come up to the front of the stage, and then we had all the finalist teams come on the stage, and Peggy went through a different speech and then got all the teams to put their hands out and get relaxed. It was really, really fun to watch, and it was totally improv on the night. And then they announced the winner. And what is great about this is you get some really, really good photos of the team realizing that they've won on stage. So I really like this. However, logistically it is a little bit complicated. So if you are unable to get all the teams on the stage, perhaps you don't have such a big stage as we did last year, I mean, you can have all the judges just come up onto the stage at the front, make sure you got the trophies ready to hand over to the winning team. And then essentially that you will then take a series of photos, make sure you get some good photos with your volunteer team, make sure you get photos with the judges, photos of the winning team, photos of other teams, and then enjoy the evening reception. So you should have dinner and some more drinks perhaps as you celebrate celebrate the winning team of a long day. Now following this, you will want to then move to your after party location. So this is something to start working on now, or if not, the past week, working out where are you going to go after the evening reception. And it's also key to make sure that you have a logistics plan on how you're going to get between the different venues. I didn't talk too much about that other than the pink bus. So, and then at the after party, again, you need to ensure that everyone's having fun, and it's a time for you to relax a little bit, but make sure that all teams are taken care of. Not all teams are going to want to go to the after party, not all judges are going to want to go to the after party. So my strong advice is to actually have a different volunteer team, like specifically set to help take care of all stakeholders after the award and evening reception has been announced and begins, to facilitate people going home or going on to the after party. Well, thank you. Hopefully you joined me this far through the webinar. What we're doing is, it's really important. We are actually inspiring students to essentially change their lives at an early time, which then can lead on to a lifetime of impact. This is exactly what Holt Prize did to me coming up to 3 years ago now. I was on the track of being an investment banker, competed at the Shanghai Regional. Now I work for Holt Prize, and I also run my own social enterprise. So it's really can lead to a lot, can lead to changing someone's life, which can ultimately lead to them having a lifetime of impact. So that's the goal, whether they win regionals or not. Always, whenever you have a tough decision to make during the day, because there are certain rules, etc. Always be thinking on the side of, will this inspire the team? Will this lead to the team be more happy and likely to um, go on and pursue a career of impact? So just keep that in mind, and remember to have fun, and remember that we're all here, and we want everyone to be successful. And so reach out if you have any questions or problems as you go. Again, thanks a lot. I'm looking forward to having our one-on-one calls, going over any questions and getting into more depth as we run up to regionals. Thank you.